The lighthouse looms ahead, its shadow stretching across the uneven path as the wind pushes impatiently at your back. The structure juts defiantly against the sky, blackened edges peeling rust into the salty current of the air. Beneath the sighing chorus of gulls, another sound lingers, low and indistinct, almost human. You stop and turn. The trail behind you winds into the oblivion of mist, unmarred but for your own stumbling footsteps. You tell yourself it's the tide, or the wind maybe, but keep walking, faster now. The cold has already begun to thread its way through your coat. A gust cuts sharp across your face as the first jagged rocks of the cliff edge come into view. The lighthouse, streaked with rust, stands crooked on its foundation, surrounded by patches of skeletal grass bent toward the sea. The place looks older than you'd imagined, sunless and scoured by decades of storms. You step closer, trying not to notice the flaking paint clinging stubbornly to the heavy concrete walls. Scratched into the doorframe are initials, RD, repeated with desperate force, growing fainter each time. You brush at them absently, your fingers freezing against the damp stone before easing the key into the old brass lock. The door creaks open, reluctantly spilling dim light from the narrow windows inside. Dust hangs in thick ribbons, swirling lazily as your boots scrape against warped wooden planks. You pause in the threshold, holding your breath. There's a scent here, not quite rot, not quite mildew. It clings, metallic and sour, as though the walls themselves exhale decay. Inside, the silence settles in layers. At first, it feels like relief, freedom from the endless gnash of waves throwing themselves onto rocks below. But then comes the hum, low, vibrating, beneath your ribs, between your ears. The previous keeper's desk perches crookedly against the far wall, drawers rotted at the edges but still intact. You thumb one open, revealing the scratch of black moth-eaten fabric and a stack of notebooks. They're stacked too neatly, placed like a warning rather than a record. The top journal crackles as you open it. Inside, neat columns of handwriting stretch across unlined pages, describing storms on the horizon, passing ships, fading tides. You skim until the last line catches your eye. It's ink-smeared, yet unmistakable. Don't let it inside. You frown. Flip to a second journal. Another record of days. Lighthouses were meticulous like that, weren't they? Routine stacking upon routine, keeping time like a crutch. But then, again, same words, same scratchy script, as if carved through clenched teeth. Don't let it inside. Sunlight through the window catches the ink, tracing the curve of smeared letters like fresh blood. Your hand trembles over the paper. Unease catches, pulling warm air from the room. What were they afraid of keeping out? The ascending stairs twist tightly, each step echoing like a countdown to a door you're unsure you want to open. You trail one hand along the wall, granite, unyielding, pinning you between its gritty surface and the increasingly narrow space above. The lighthouse, your lighthouse, closes around you in breaths of shadow. Higher still, the wind bites through small fissures in the stone, carrying the distant roar of waves up past you. Halfway now. Visual, each landing grows smaller, dim light cast from rusted grates above dappling lightly across the curving walls. When you finally reach the top, something snaps in your chest. Relief or regret, it's too thin a thread to pull apart. The door to the beacon grinds open, spilling the low roar of glass spinning under relentless tension. The room is brighter but colder, each pane of wet glass streaked by stray fingers of rain, fragments of sea spray, or both. You press your hand to one pane, eyes narrowing against the storm-racked horizon. Far below, the waves writhe like carpet snakes, rolling against the cliffside with manic purpose. For a second, you think you see something, not on the water, but beneath it. A pale blur, too smooth to be foam, too deliberate to be chance. Then it's gone. Was it there? Your chest tightens. You strain further into the window. Sputtering thunder rolls across the water, deep, uneven, like a voice trying to form words. Somewhere far below, past the swarm of jagged rocks and restless tides, past even the lighthouse itself, you hear a sound. The room is thick with silence, except for the low groaning of the lighthouse's wooden frame. It's the sound old places make, the kind that nestles under your skin, weaving discomfort through your muscles before you even notice. A candle flickers against the slatted wall, casting uneasy shadows that jitter like broken limbs. On the small table before you, the open journal stares back, its brittle pages warped from time and damp air. You flip another page. The date reads March 7th, 1953, written in a looping, hurried scrawl. The handwriting alone sets your teeth on edge. The words teeter between precision and chaos, sentences starting with forced clarity before tail-spinning into smudged, jumbled thoughts. The sound is back. It is not the sea. God help me, it is not the sea. You blink, your breath slow and deliberate against the stillness. The prior entries catalog routine lighthouse tasks, weather reports, passing ships, notes on oiling the mechanisms of the Fresnel lens to keep the beam sharp through the stormy nights. But then something shifts, an increasing obsession with sound. Small, disjointed sentences document an escalating paranoia. Scraping now, it's under the boards, watching, waiting. Your fingers twitch against the page, trembling so much the wax drips from the candle to the desk. It leaves a syrupy sheen across a fragment of ink-smeared text. Impossible. You tap the page gently with your thumbnail, trying to keep your mind grounded in anything tactile. The scraped varnish catches your nail, grounding you momentarily. You lean into the cold light of the candle. The next entry simply reads, "Don't let it inside." What was the date? Was there a date? You double back, but that marking is gone. Another discrepancy. You grimace, your tongue heavy with the metallic bitterness of canned stew from earlier. Moisture laces the air, tastes faintly of rot. Somewhere below you hear it again, the faint scrape, dragging, deliberate. The candle flickers, you stand. The chair creaks, just the chair. Your ears stretch for confirmation, but the sound is gone now, eaten by the crash of waves biting stone. A warped key lies on its side, reflecting the dancing glow of flame against the grain of old wood. Below, the storage room door resists your push and then relents with a whining surrender. A soft draft hisses through unseen cracks as the metal doorknob slips from your freezing hands. You step down onto uneven flooring, where the air becomes heavy with mildew and salt. The scent pushes you to breathe through your mouth. Rafters above creak as though something shifts its weight. No footsteps, just the insistent groaning of timber, a reminder of the structure's age. The shadows are different here, darker, smothering. Something gleams as your flashlight slants across the walls. Scratches, not just scratches, they're deliberate, layered, a language in claw marks. You crouch closer, tracing the irregular gouges with a shaking index finger, hand barely steady enough to follow the sharp peaks and curves. The distance between lines narrows with repetition, digging deeper. Whatever made these marks, the idea sets your teeth against your tongue. You stop. Behind you, a faint tapping begins. Like raindrops, but the rhythm is wrong. Someone or something is pacing. You whirl toward the sound. Nothing. The shadows hold everything in nothing. Then, louder. 3 deliberate knocks reverberate. You freeze, counting the beats in your head, not the storage door, not the walls, above you. Visual, the lighthouse exterior seen from below, the lantern room lights faint and wrong against gathering fog. The storm howls around you as you stumble onto the rocks outside. Rain lashes down in angry sheets, each drop like a slap against your exposed face. Wind claws at your jacket, its grip tightening. You tilt upward, fighting the bite of salty water to focus on the lantern room above. Against the pulse of lightning, the gallery rail flashes into view. Nothing there, and then movement. Something brushes the window's edge, a dark silhouette harder to form through the thick glass, but there, unmistakable, a pause, then deliberate motion. Fingers, or claws, testing the glass. Again, 3 deliberate knocks. The flame of your lantern sputters unexpectedly, throwing the cramped office into chaos. Shadows leap across the walls, twisting and lunging just beyond the edge of its glow. You freeze, the handle slick in your unsteady grip. The wind outside howls, a harsh wailing that seems to coil and slither through every crack in the old stone. Your gaze drops to the desk, its surface warped by moisture and time. Amid stained logbooks and a jumble of rusted tools, something catches your eye. A smaller notebook, unbound, with odd tears in places where it might have been hastily stuffed behind the others. Its spine is crudely taped. You pull it closer, wincing as a nail snags at the sleeve of your sweater. You whip your head toward the sound. Nothing but the door hanging slightly ajar behind you. Back to the notebook. Its cover is streaked black with ink? Blood? You don't want to touch the stains to find out. The pages inside are frayed at the corners. The handwriting is frantic, barely legible, words overlapping as if written in a shaking hand. A lantern throws a patchy light across the page as you skim. Maintenance notes, scattered observations of the weather. Then, another voice emerges beneath the routine. A voice desperate to make you listen. September 15th, screaming in the dark, wind, no. September 16th, it came to the window again. September 21st, why won't the radio work? Batteries, glass cracked in stairwell. The entries grow more unhinged, flipping erratically between neatly scripted times to scrawled, half-written thoughts. Your pulse quickens when you see the last note, not crossed out, not filed. Something your predecessor wanted to write but never had time to finish. Not a sound, not a shadow, just presence. It's not locked out if it's already here. The lantern flickers dangerously low. A footstep sounds, clearer this time, deliberate, not wood flexing. Wait! You jolt, knocking over a rusted compass. Its needle spins wildly, something impossible from a fall. Shoving the notebook into your pack, you rush out of the room without stopping to secure the door. It slams behind you, echoing up the spiral staircase. The wind outside screams louder now, rattling every pane and pipe in the hollow tower, and yet it feels distant, like it's pressing against a bubble you've been pulled inside. The light above cuts out. The relentless sweep of the beam, the only constant since your arrival here, vanishes. Shadows solidify. Your eyes search the circular windows on your way up toward the beacon room, but there's nothing to see, just blackened steel and cold-painted stone. The stairs near the lantern room, barely visible, choked with rusted railings and faintly trembling underfoot. You reach the top. You expect to hear the crackling machinery returning to life, a bulging shadow where none belongs, a figure, something. Instead, there is absence. You stumble into the thick silence, envying every drop of rain still lashing at the glass outside. And when you look, finally after gathering breath, your heart clenches. No, waves aren't moving. Rain is frozen mid-fall. Even time, no, the world itself holds its breath. The reflection in the lantern glass shifts, not yours. You stumble forward, unsure if the sound in your ears is your heartbeat or its. Somehow you think it's both. Each pulse feels louder than the one before, like the pounding rhythm of waves that no longer move. The hallway stretches. No, it folds. The walls bend inward, then outward again, breathing stone. The air thickens, cold and sharp, but your lungs crave it. Your mind spins instead. The spiral staircase looms ahead, twisting upward like a drill boring into nothing. Each step reflects light that shouldn't exist, light without direction, seeping from shadows. You blink, and the shadows shiver, move. Visual, mid-shot following the protagonist's line of sight. Stuttering shadows flicker erratically across the damp granite walls, momentarily forming half-human silhouettes. Their joints move wrong, backward bends, jerking motions. You clutch the railing, cold metal bites into your palm. Keep moving, you whisper, but your voice leaves no echo. Even sound refuses to linger here. The hum from earlier rises again, wrapping around your skull like static hands. Halfway up, you see it. The door to the lantern room, ajar yet impossibly dark inside. Light beams through the fogged glass dome above, slicing the void like sharp-edged blades. The air has changed, denser, bitter with something iron-like at the back of your throat. Your boots scrape against the floor, slower with every step. The journal pages flash in your mind like snapshots. Scratched writing. Don't look at it. Lines smeared as if written mid-stumble. A final scrawl in the corner. We've never kept it out, we've just kept it. No, don't finish that thought. You reach the door. It shifts. Like muscle beneath skin, curling and uncurling in obscene rhythmic pulses. A draft slips past. Not wind, this breathes. Hot, damp, rotting. It smells like the inside of something living or dying. Your trembling fingers catch on the doorframe. You think of the shadows pooling behind you, stretching closer. No escape now. No backward steps anymore. You shove the door open, chest heaving. Visual, wide angle from inside the lantern room. The warped shadows hiss up the walls, converging upward into a jagged mass of humanoid suggestion, formless yet suffocatingly present, filling every corner with movement that defies space. It's been waiting. The Fresnel lens, it reflects something. Something wrong. It turns to face you. No, not the lens. The shadows coiled around it, they shift when you do, always lingering just at the threat.